he would consider pardons for all who've been prosecuted by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, saying Obamagate was nothing less than treason.
The fact is that President Obama and Vice President Biden and the whole group of them, with Brennan and Comey and McCabe and Lisa Page and Strzok, her lover, and beyond them, long beyond them, they spied on the campaign using the intelligence agencies of our country. They illegally, this is illegal as can be. This is treason. This is many things you can call it. They spied on the campaign of another party or a presidential campaign, both before and after victory, both before and after. Never been done before. It is so bad. If it were the other side, they would have been in jail for 2 years, and it would have been a 50-year term. But Obama and Biden knew everything, and they spied on the campaign of the opposing party using intelligence.
Joining us now is Tom Fitton. Tom is the president of Judicial Watch. His new book is A Republic Under Assault, The Left's Ongoing Attack on American Freedom, available for pre-order right now. Good to have you with us, Tom. Let's talk about Joe Pinka. He is the mystery man in all of this. He was the other FBI agent who accompanied Peter Strzok to the White House to entrap and to frame General Michael Flynn. How has the FBI gotten away with hiding this man and keeping him out of all view, at least I'm aware of, all public view?
Ask Director Wray. The FBI has been covering up key documents for years, and Wray's been part of the cover-up. The Justice Department's allowed it to go on as well. With these documents that came out this week, which document, these are FBI reports showing that Patenka, Strzok, and Kleinsmith, the guy who said that Viva la Resistance in his text messages and then altered allegedly the CIA information about Carter Page to make Page look like a bad guy when in fact he was a hero in order to get a FISA warrant. They went in with the intelligence briefing, a counterintelligence briefing, to the Trump team. The president was there, then candidate Trump. General Flynn was there, and they were spying on him directly. They were taking notes about what Trump was saying and what Flynn were saying. Of course, they were saying innocent things, and they went in there under false pretenses, abused their trust, and then we get documents last week, Lou, that show that Strzok wanted to do the same thing at the Trump White House. Go in there under the false pretenses of FBI counterintelligence briefings to spy on Trump. Nothing like this has ever happened in American history. The president is being charitable to Barack Obama. Obama makes Richard Nixon look like a piker when it comes to targeting his political enemies.
And look at who has said that they're not going to reach to the Obama White House, will not be interested in talking with President Obama or Vice President Biden. The Attorney General has said that. The chair of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate has said that. I mean, that's outrageous that they would not reach as far as the facts take them. And the facts right now are pointing in that direction, I think, with bright red blinking lights.
There's that famous January 5th, 2017 meeting. It's an infamous meeting in the Oval Office where they talked about the dossier, the Logan Act, General Flynn being innocent, yet they all went to spy on and harass President Trump and obviously target General Flynn, Biden, Obama. They were all involved there. You put your finger on it. General Barr has said he doesn't even want to question these guys, Biden and Obama, about what they knew. That's why we filed a federal lawsuit this week to find out details about that corruption, because it's pretty clear DOJ is going to give Joe Biden a pass despite him being involved in the Obamagate scandal. In the least, they're witnesses, Lou. Let's say they're completely innocent of any wrongdoing. At least tell us what they knew and when so we can figure out who did the wrong thing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. This president has been under investigation by those very agencies, those very departments for almost 4 years. And we're not going to ask a question of the president who authorized such outright scandalous, treasonous behavior. I mean, it's insane to think that he didn't authorize it. They're having meetings in the Oval Office, for crying out loud. It's deeply, deeply frustrating. Let me turn to Judicial Watch, your lawsuit against the Department of Education, trying to find out how in the world so much money is sloshing around from foreign nations and hostile powers at that. What are you hoping to find here, and why are we just now learning about all of this? We know the Chinese have been carrying out espionage activities and surveillance for the People's Republic of China for at least 2 decades in this country. Why now?
Well, it's come to a head, and frankly, the Trump administration deserves credit for highlighting this issue. For all the complaints we've had about DOJ and FBI and state, at least they're calling attention to the China problem in a coordinated way now. Department of Education, they're supposed to get reports from colleges and universities if those universities get $250,000 or more from a foreign government. According to one report, at least 70 colleges didn't report that type of grant activity from the Chinese. We want the details. We're suing for the info. We also have a lawsuit that the Qatarans. Qatar has given Texas A&M a boatload of money. We're in court against their high-priced lawyers to try to get information about that gift. Texas A&M has got a campus over in Qatar, and they won't give us any details about the gift that seemingly has resulted in that campus being sent to that terror-supporting country.
Well, obviously I'm more concerned about China. I am more concerned about Russia. And when I'm asking what has taken so long, 2 decades of surveillance, I mean, this has been going on for 20 years. And only now are those agencies that have harassed and pursued and persecuted this president for 4 years, they're just now awakening to the fact that China is shipping in spies who don't tell the truth. I mean, I can't believe the nonsense that I'm hearing from the FBI, that they just can't believe that effectively that these Chinese nationals who were sent to this country by the PLA to spy and to steal U.S. technology and intellectual property, that they would lie on immigration documents? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember, Lou, back in the Clinton administration where you had the Chinese in a coordinated effort trying to influence our elections, and we presume that just stopped. They were bankrolling Bill and Hillary Clinton, targeting Senator Feinstein. She got a briefing about it, but then presumably they stopped. Of course they didn't stop. They were let off the hook, and now we see the results 20 years later.
Absolutely. And thanks to you and to Judicial Watch, we see a little clearer. Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it. Up next, President Trump's approval skyrocketing. Kansas Senate candidate Chris Kobach joins me right after these quick words. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good news for President Trump, and you could argue the Republic, and I do. His approval rating is surging. President Trump's overall approval is at 49%, according to the Rasmussen poll. That's identical to where Barack Obama was at the same point in his presidency. And by the way, Rasmussen is one of 3 pollsters to have gotten the 2016 election right. One of the 3. By the way, the New York Times and Washington Post were not amongst those who were correct. And by the way, his approval is surging among black likely voters, a 49% approval rating among those likely voters. And Rasmussen also finds 30% of black likely voters will be voting for the president. Joining us tonight is former Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach. He's running for the U.S. Senate in the state of Kansas and running strong and hard, and he's in a heck of a fight. Good to have you with us, Chris. Let's start with the Rasmussen poll. We've got a president who is starting to move these numbers, and we've got a Senate that won't, basically the campaign committee, Mitch McConnell and the boys, the leadership, have told all the senators not to run with this president, attach themselves to his coattails. Are you? What is your thinking on that counsel and that advice?
Another mistake by Mitch McConnell. Look, the president's approval rating is going on the way up because people approve of the job he's doing, both on the economy and his response to the lawlessness on the streets. I think there's another thing going on, Lou, and that is the social desirability bias, and that's what the pollsters call it. That, Trump has always performed less well in the polls than he does in the election because some people, when they are called, think that the desirable answer is not to say you're voting for Trump. Well, I think in addition to the fact that more people approve of the job he's doing, he's going to have an even bigger boost on Election Day because those people who are not telling the pollsters they are Trump voters will be Trump voters. Plus, there's the enthusiasm gap. Trump voters are more enthusiastic than Biden voters. I think this looks great for the president.
Yeah. And you obviously are a strong Trump supporter. You were considered for a number of posts. Tell us where you are in the race. The primary race for the Senate, running against a Mitch McConnell designated candidate, an establishment candidate if ever there were one.
Yeah, well, we're leading in the polls, but it's only a single-digit lead. And as you mentioned, Mitch McConnell has come in to try to interfere in the race and, lift up the rhino opponent that I have and try to propel him across the finish line ahead of me. And, we've seen this so many times where McConnell interferes whenever a conservative is leading in the polls. I think he should just let Kansas Republicans decide for themselves and then put that money behind the winner instead of attacking a Republican. He's hurting the Republican cause, not just in Kansas, but nationally, by attacking Republicans in primaries.
How aggressively are you campaigning? How much effort are you putting into this race? Because there are those who criticize you, as you know, for not giving it, not spending 24 hours a day on the trail in a previous election.
You, as your producers can tell you, we had to squeeze this interview in because I am literally crisscrossing the state and hopping into a vehicle right after we get off the air to get to the southeast corner of the state in record time. So we're going from dawn until dusk, actually way past dusk on most nights. So we're campaigning aggressively. And one great thing, Lou, is that ever since McConnell came in on behalf of my moderate opponent, conservatives all across the country have tried to fight back, and they're going to chriskobach.com to chip in. So that's been a really nice response from conservatives around the country.
A lot of money pouring in for your opponent. How's your fundraising, and how are you doing?
Well, we haven't raised as much money as Mitch McConnell's putting in. He's dumped $4 million plus now in the last 3 weeks, and it's hard to pick up that kind of money quickly. But we're putting everything we get on the air. Well, he's outspending us about 2 to 1 for these last few weeks, but we still have enough ammunition to win it.
And to win it, this is going to be quite some test. Your sense of right now, the energy and the excitement around your candidacy, what are you counting on to take you over the finish line?
The grassroots conservatives in Kansas, they know my track record over the years, not wavering, always standing firm on these conservative issues, whether it be the Second Amendment, the pro-life issue, you name it. And so, at the end of the day, it's the grassroots in a Republican primary, the conservative base that carries me through, and I think carries a lot of solid Republicans through.
All right. Chris Kobach, thanks for being with us. Good to see you. Get back to work. Up next, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo puts China on notice, calls on the world to stand up for freedom. Congressman Jim Banks joins me next, and a reminder about my new book, The Trump Century, how our president changed the course of history forever. He, in fact, saved the republic. It still needs some savings, so think about that. It's available for pre-order at thetrumpcentury.com, barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. As many copies as you want. You can have them airlifted into the Seattle picket lines if you wish. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Despite being ordered to do so by the U.S. State Department, China is refusing to leave their consulate in Houston. China maintaining something of an occupation of at least part of an American city. The Chinese Consul General in Houston says that office will remain open till further notice. This despite that order. from the State Department to close by today. China is also retaliated against the United States, ordering the closure of the American consulate in the Chinese city of Chengdu. Secretary of State Pompeo challenging other nations to change the form of their engagement with China. Secretary Pompeo says that if they don't, the free world as we know it may be lost.
The challenge of China demands exertion, energy from democracies, those in Europe, those in Africa, those in South America, and especially those in the Indo-Pacific region. If we bend the knee now, our children's children may be at the mercy of the Chinese Communist Party, whose actions are the primary challenge today in the free world.
Joining us now, Congressman Jim Banks, member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, good to have you with us. The Secretary of State sounds like a secretary who is keenly aware that the United States is now in a Cold War with the People's Republic of China. Your thoughts?
Lou, this speech that Secretary Pompeo gave at the Nixon Library, ironically, is the best and most important speech that Secretary Pompeo has given as Secretary of State. And it tells you everything you need to know about this administration. You have to go back to 2017 when President Trump first became president. His national security team came together. They published a national security strategy that named a great power competition with China. And so we need to pivot away from the wars in the Middle East and focus on great power competition with China. Now, fast forward to the Pompeo speech yesterday, calling for the rest of the free world to join the United States of America in that cause, because now, if we don't do something about this now, the time has run out to ever do something about it, this new Cold War addressing the China threat.
Let's look at what this administration is doing. The president has ordered 2 aircraft carrier groups into the South China Sea. This president is doing exactly what he should. One of the problems is we don't know what's happening in the South China Sea. We're getting very little information from the Department of Defense. Mark Esper is acting as if he is running a covert operation instead of putting 2 carriers in potentially harm's way. The American people need to know what the hell is going on and what those carriers and their task forces are up to.
I agree with you, Lou, and I'm grateful again for Secretary Pompeo being the adult in the room, advising this president, the president bringing along a team that's led by Secretary Pompeo to do that. Shutting down the consulate in Houston was a big step. They need to shut it down fully. We know the FBI has said that every 10 hours they open up a new case, a counterintelligence case against the Chinese for their theft and intellectual property theft in the United States of America, 1 every 10 hours. We need better leadership from Secretary Esper to step up to the plate with Secretary Pompeo and the FBI director as well.
Yeah. I'd love to hear from Christopher Wray how many damn cases are being closed every 10 hours. This is preposterous that they've had time to indulge in Operation Crossfire, Hurricane Razor. I mean, all of this spying. They detached I don't know how many agents at the Justice Department, while we have existential threats from China and from Russia, potentially. What in the world has this country been doing? It's just stunning to me what we have put up with from those 2, the Department of Justice and the FBI. I want to turn to Mark Esper, that, as you point out, here is a man who has had a number of very public conflicts with this president. John Hyten, the vice chair, the general who called this president, I'm not even going to repeat what he said, but it was a word that if I were president, he would be fired and whatever else I could do. It's outrageous what is happening in that Department of Defense. Esper needs to go, don't you think?
Well, I believe Secretary Esper has done a huge disservice to the president, and not just to the president, Lou, but to the men and women who put on the uniform by not supporting the commander-in-chief who hired him in the first place. I support the president and who he decides to surround himself with, and in this case, I'm as disappointed as you are that Secretary Esper has not respected the man who gave him the opportunity of a lifetime to serve not just him as president, but to serve this country in one of the most important positions in this administration.
And he's had a public conflict with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the vice chair, calling him, using a word that I just can't believe. I'm just not going to repeat it and carry that water. But this is pretty disgusting, what we're seeing from the uppermost ranks of the Joint Chiefs and from the Secretary. I mean, there's something in the water over there, and they need to get their heads on straight. And I think the only way you do that is give them a very long time to contemplate it as civilians. What do you think?
Well, there's no doubt about it that the president has paid attention to these types of activities from Secretary Esper and others. I respect this president. He's the best leader in my lifetime.
Do you think we ought to fire them? Do you think we ought to fire them?
I think Lou, that's up to the president. I'm not going to tell the president what to do when it comes to that.
Of course it is.
He knows. I'm
not telling him what to do. I'm telling you what. I want to find out what you would do.
If I had someone who said the things the Secretary
I'll rephrase it this way.
he would serve my administration.
We got there. Thanks. Mine either. And your administration before mine, I assure you. Congressman Jim Banks, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Rhino political groups are spending millions of dollars this year trying to dissuade evangelicals in key battleground states from voting for President Trump. One such group is called Republican Voters Against Trump. They are spending upwards of $15 million against the president with their campaign. These are so-called Republicans. Then you find out who is associated with them. That group is affiliated with anti-Trumpers like Bill Kristol, former Jeb Bush aide Tim Miller. They've started running a new TV ad targeting the religious right, titling, "Trump is Using Us." Well, well, well. Joining us now is Pastor Robert Jeffress. He's a member of the White House Faith Initiative, pastor of the First Baptist Church of Dallas, Fox Business contributor, author of the new book, Praying for America, available everywhere now. Good to have you with us, Pastor, and I'm so mad I can't even get your name straight. I apologize. I mean, are you kidding me? Bill Kristol? These people, Jeb Bush's aides, what a bunch of, well, there is some top flight, I won't even say it. Your thoughts about this?
Well, look, I'm excited about this. I hope they spend millions of dollars more chasing this fool's gold of the evangelical vote. Lou, they're living in fantasy, thinking that there's this large group of evangelical voters who are upset with the president's tweets or temperaments, and they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Look, Joe Biden will never get more than 17% of the evangelical vote, the same amount that voted for Hillary Clinton, and there's a reason for that. The masses of evangelical voters don't care about the president's tweets or his temperament. They care about his accomplishments. And he's got a long list of those accomplishments. 200 federal judges, conservatives appointed to the court, record pro-life legislation and initiatives, record pro-religious liberty initiatives as well. The 2016 election was about promises. 2020 is about accomplishments, and that's why evangelicals are going to vote en masse for Donald J. Trump.
Well, I love your challenge to those folks. It turns out a number of these groups are just raising money for themselves. They're just sort of passing it back and forth amongst themselves, these anti-Trump groups. That apparently works well for them, and it's incredible what we're putting up with. And to see the way the Senate is operating, you've got very good, strong candidates, but not to the liking of Mitch McConnell. They're too conservative. They're not reliable for him, like John Thune and a few of these other folks. It's a shame to see it. You would like to see this president. Every one of these senators should be standing up for him. I really believe Mitch McConnell is running this time. He's doing a Paul Ryan. He's about to lose the Senate because of this ridiculous attitude of his.
Well, just remember, Lou, President Trump won without them in 2016. He's going to win without them in 2020.
He is, but I'd sure like to see a lot of great pro-Trump folks get in there. Pastor Robert Jeffress, we're out of time. Thanks for putting up with me tonight. Good to see you. Before we go to break, a reminder about my new book, The Trump Century, How Our President Changed the Course of History Forever, available for your pre-order right now at thetrumpcentury.com. The phone lines are manned. Everything's ready. Oh, no, that was before the internet age. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Let's take another look at the president playing catch with Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera on the White House lawn.
There you go.
It's been a long time.
Long time.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for being with us. Monday, Sidney Powell and Larry Elder join us. We hope you will too. Have a great weekend. Good night from Sussex. Let's take another look at the president playing catch with Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera on the White House lawn.
There you go.
It's been a long time.
Long time.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for being with us. Monday, Sidney Powell and Larry Elder join us. We hope you will too. Have a great weekend. Good night from Sussex.